I paused there because I'm having some headphone jack issues, so the audio in my head is going from way too quiet, can't hear anything, to really, really loud. And so, like, I can't tell where the right thing is. I think these headphones may be going bad. The jack in my board may be going bad. That would be my bet there. But I'm just trying to gauge where the voice needs to be so I'm loud enough, yet not screaming at you. I know you're thinking 20 years he finally cares about whether or not he's screaming at us. That's not what I mean. Sometimes I'm trying to yell, other times not so much. Today being one of those. I have no idea what's going on with that. That's it started on Friday. A little bit of a weird issue. Like, yeah, I don't hear the music bed there at all now. Like, yeah, that just went away. All right, we'll just turn that off. There we go there. All right, we got a lot planned for you today, including we got not one, but two more retailers out there telling us, hey man, the self-checkout thing is going to drastically change at our places. Now, one of them is admitting it. It's the theft. We tried to do this. We tried to railroad our workers. We tried to give you the convenience that you say you want, but it turns out, nope, we're just being stolen from. We hate that. And so we're going to stop doing this, at least in the manner in which they are. And now Target, after, coming out after a few other people, said, yeah, we're going to change this now. It's going to be about the amount. At Target, it sounds like it will be about the amount of items in your hand. Last week, we were kind of on the Walmart thing where they're going to Walmart Plus, where a lot of their self-checkout will be if you're in their club. If you're not, you just kind of go through the other way. And now we have not one, but two more retailers, a dollar store chain and now Target, are both rethinking their self-checkout systems. And I can't be all that shocked, right? Something happens, kind of works out. Then next thing you know, we didn't see all these snags coming down the road with it. Okay, now we have to, sit back and reevaluate and figure out how we move forward with this. I'm not shocked we're seeing changes coming to this. As I said, I may be one of the reasons why. You may be too. I said for years, just let me do this on my own. Just let me, check myself out and let me get out of here. And then they did that, and I was like, I hate this. I absolutely hate this. I thought I knew what I wanted. Be careful what you wish for there. Got exactly what I wanted and then ended up hating it. So at 9 a.m., we'll get into that again. I think it's Dollar General and Target now are like, we're completely changing our systems. You can stay up to date online at WRQK.com. That's where the podcast is hosted. I'm on your socials at The Stansberry Show. And you can text the studio at 330-450-7625. Now, that number you're going to want to call around 8:45 as I have Incarceration Fest tickets for you. That's got Breaking Benjamin, Godsmack, Shinedown, and just about everybody else on it, too. That's July 19th through the 21st, Ohio State Reformatory. And at 8:45 this morning, I'm going to get you into that. What? Also, in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to find out, would you work out more often if somebody would pay you to work out? If you got paid to do it, would you do it? Well, we're going to find out. Some people are putting their money where their mouth is, and we'll get to that also at 8. We're going to have to talk to Scott from waitingfornextyear.com. I don't know why I say it like that. We get to talk to Scott from waitingfornextyear.com. There's a lot to address, and I mean a lot. I watched that Akron-Kent game over the other night. There was a bad foul at the end of that game, although I think there were some non-calls in that game. Everybody always goes, crazy over the ref thing. There were some non-calls in that Kent-Akron game. That game could have went either way, near the end of that. We'll talk to Scott about that. We'll talk to him about the tournament. We'll get into the guards a little bit as well. And yeah, there's been some NFL movement. And by movement, I mean a lot. The Pittsburgh Steelers made a bunch of waves last week by acquiring Russell Wilson. Now, what's interesting about that is about 3 days before that announcement came out, it had leaked out of the Pittsburgh camp that they viewed Russell as a backup. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, is he going to back up Kenny Pickett? Like, they're not going to have him back up Kenny Pickett. That seems crazy. Well, it turns out, no, Kenny didn't want anything to do with the quarterback competition. He was like, I'm out of here. So then he apparently wanted to play so bad that he's going to go sit behind Jalen Hurts. Where it's like, dude, you're not going to play at all there, but okay, good luck. Good luck. But now the Steelers have made another huge move at quarterback. They're bringing in Justin Fields. So I think that this is going back to the earlier report that they kind of view Russ as a backup. That they feel the way the rest of you do. A little washed. Yeah, Russell, it's kind of over. I don't see it that way, but like it appears as if those of you that think it, and the Steelers, who would know more about this than I would, think he's kind of done. Because that's what they're doing there, right? They're kind of having him put the arm around Justin Fields. You guys will kind of compete, but really what we're looking for is the vet steady hand. You kind of show Justin what to be doing. If he ain't ready to go this year, fine, then we have Russ and we have Justin moving forward. It kind of feels that way. We'll talk to Scott about that coming up at 8 o'clock. We'll see what he has to think about it. Also, we're going to take a look today at the states where young people are living at home the longest and at what ages they're doing it and why that's happening. Now, this is going to bring up a conversation we have had plenty where it may be time now to rethink what being on your own is. It may be time to rethink what being smart is. Is it running out of your parents' house at 18 just because you're an adult now and trying to live on your own? Or is it, you know what, let's have a plan. Let's stay here a couple of more years. Let's save the money, contribute to these bills of this house, yes, but then still be prepared to go out on my own in a few years. We're going to dig that conversation up because, again, more and more states have young people living with their parents that much longer. Today's society, and I know all that, this was happening in the 90s when I was coming into the workforce too, and they were telling us that we were lazy and didn't want anything. It was so bad they created a movie called Reality Bites. This is just this happening again. It's cyclical. Things happen in cycles, and that's kind of what's happening. But I do have the list of states where young people are living at home the longest, and I think we need to dig up a conversation about what it means to be an adult. And we'll get there coming up 7 o'clock this morning on the program. Next, though, the Steelers aren't the only ones making moves. The Browns did, too. And I decided to joke around a little bit on social media, and people took it way too seriously. Seriously, Stansbury, you're a moron. Next.
Don't blame the station. We expected you to cancel him by now.
Well, my horoscope said that I shouldn't assume responsibility for anybody but myself.
The Stansbury Show on Rock 106.9.
8:45 this morning, I'm going to get you into incarceration. That's July 19th to the 21st, Ohio State Reformatory. I really got to figure out if this is my board or my headphones screwing this up. I mean, the audio's just going in and out. I can hear myself, then I can't. Not a problem for you at all. Distracting for me. I'm guessing it's my headphones. I'm throwing them around while being unhappy about other things. That is the radio station's fault. I think that's gonna be my bet. Is that this is self-inflicted. You know what else was a little self-inflicted for me over the weekend was all the assault I took via the Facebook page, The Stansbury Show. I was kind of screwing around a little bit, and I got bit by the thing I'm always talking about, where people don't know what your intention is when they're reading it. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what was going through your mind. They don't know. And so, like, everybody kind of takes it as they want to take it. It may not be received as you were intending it to. And this happened to me a little bit. And I should have seen this one coming a touch. If I'm honest, I should have. So the Browns made a hire. And apparently it's been in the works since the combine.
Hands are cold.
The Browns added a former head coach in the NFL to their staff, Mike Vrabel, Ohio guy, went to Walsh with a couple of guys I grew up with. Went to Ohio State, and then went to New England to become a champion. He had then since been the head coach for the Tennessee Titans. It's been a little while down there, and if you go that long and you don't win, have great postseason success, then everybody's like, all right, change of scenery time. It might be just time for a change of scenery. Andy Reid in Philly, right? Everybody admitted he's great, but there seems to be a thing here. Might be time for a change of scenery for him. And so the Titans moved off of Mike Vrabel. Now, he did not get any of these jobs that had been open this last hiring cycle, although I think he didn't want a few of them. He didn't interview for all of them, so I think there was part of him that was like, I'm not just going to take any job I can get. I'm going to wait for the right job. That's, I would imagine, one of the benefits of making the kind of money that a head coach in the NFL makes, is that you don't have to just take the next job that comes your way. You can be a little selective, patient, if you will, right? But apparently he wants to be around the NFL. What have you done for me lately, league? For sure. And if you're out of it too long, it's like, move by him. He's not the guy. And so stay around the game, I understand it. So the Browns have now hired Mike Vrabel as a consultant. Personnel consultant, from what I understand. Now, according to Robert Mays of The Athletic, Mike Vrabel is, quote, to act as a sounding board for Kevin Stefanski, but also as a resource for a coaching staff that has seen a lot of turnover. And some of those coaches are pretty young. And so Vrabel, having been a head coach, he had been a position coach for the Belichick staff, I believe, in New England before going to become a head coach. Was he not? I believe he was. So he's kind of worked himself around a little bit. And yes, he's got Ohio ties. So what did I say via Facebook last week? Oh, well, they traded the quarterback controversy in favor for a coaching controversy. You know, not bringing Flacco back and moving on to Jameis to clear the way for Deshaun actually to be the guy, right? And I was like, yeah, they don't want the quarterback controversy. Here comes a coaching controversy. So everybody, of course, jumped up and down on me like I was dead serious. I'm not. I'm like 85% kidding. Although, he's a 2-time coach of the year. Yeah, and after he won it the first time, half the fans and media still wanted him replaced. They did. Also, let's not forget what everybody said when Jim Schwartz came here. This is after Kev had already been a coach of the year. When they hired Jim Schwartz, people said, well, now if Kev doesn't get it figured out, you know what this is. This is the Browns ownership applying pressure to Kevin Stefanski. Get it done, or we have a guy with previous head coaching experience on the staff who we can turn the team over to if we have to. That's what everybody thought when they hired Schwartz, is that they weren't all in on Kev. And it was about applying pressure to Kevin's backside to get him to be where he needed to be. It's what everyone thought. And so it's crazy to joke around about the fact that you hired a former head coach here, who, by the way, players seem to love. Not your players, but guys around the NFL seem to like Vrabel. And it's not all that hard to figure out. Big dude, personality-driven, pretty demanding for the success, and has the hardware on his fingers. One. That earns respect from other guys around him. He's won. He's done it as a player. It matters. Maybe not as much as it used to, but it matters to guys. So it's crazy to joke around about the fact that Kevin Stefanski may have just loaded up the gun and handed it to somebody and said, here, point this at my head. I don't know if it's crazy to think that. Do I think that's why the Browns ownership wanted to hire Mike Vrabel? No. I think what it is they know Mike's going to be open for some jobs. And they want the rumor to start spreading around. I got to tell you, dude, it's not the old Cleveland Browns. It's not as bad as you think it is. I got to tell you, man, they got things turned around out there. They're getting the right players. They got the right GM. They're doing it the right way now. Yeah, I know. Same old Browns as that did be. It takes years for people to shed that. I think this is a little bit, he's a smart guy to have around that can help us, and that's the bulk of the reason to do it, for sure, is he's smart and can help us. But beyond that, he got a little goodwill soldier out here now after he leaves and tells you, hey, you're good to go. Don't run away from the Cleveland Browns. Let me tell you, man, that was all right. That situation's all right. There's also this. You spent half of last year terrified that defensive coordinator that had that team playing pretty good until Houston had them playing, well, honestly, until they went on the road. They were a completely different team on the road, but whatever. But he had them playing pretty good. Remember, they told you legendary. Might be all-time status, the defense. Remember that? Everybody was worried that in that coaching cycle, Jim Schwartz was going to get a job offer he could not say no to. So let's say that happens now. Okay. You're up, Vrabel. Time to be defensive coordinator for a little while. Do that for us for 2 years, then you'll get yourself another head coaching gig. It's smart for everybody involved. But Kevin Stefanski, let's be honest here. I think he's pretty good, but what did I say all last year? We're dealing with the growing pains on the way to him being Andy Reid. If that's what we're dealing with, then you stay patient with him. If that's not what you think is happening, then and he's reached his ceiling, then what do you do? I don't think they think he's reached his ceiling. I think they think he could use other people to bounce ideas off of. And it seems as if he and Andrew Berry wanted to do this, which I like. Because, again, if ownership feels like Kev kind of needs somebody to like bounce things off of this, and they're forcing Vrabel on him, now you got problems. If Kev's like, man, I could use another smart guy around here, and there happens to be one available, let's go get him, then I like it. Much like I would tell you, a radio host picking their co-host is better than when the company picks them. Every last time, it will be better. Most time. You know what? I'll stop short of every last time. A lot of guys that do what I do for a living have zero idea what they're doing and would make the wrong call too. That's okay. That's fair. That's fair. But I'm mostly kidding about there being a coaching controversy. However, your two-time coach of the year, half the media and half the fans want him replaced every minute of every single day. So you mean to tell me Kev blows a clock call 2 minutes in a game and you lose next year? And they're not yelling Vrabel? That won't happen. Nobody's yelling Vrabel next year if Kevin Stefanski makes a boneheaded call in a game. That's not going to happen. If you say so.
By now, you're asking yourself, is he trying to be wrong?
You incinerating that I'm dumb?
The Stan Sperry Show.
8 a.m. We'll sit down, talk to Scott from winningfornextyear.com, get into the Vrabel situation with him. Also, Justin Fields now headed to Pittsburgh. He and Russell Wilson? Good Lord. It's like they got sick of hearing about how they had no offense. So it's like, let's go get two quarterbacks and just throw both of them at the wall and see what happens here. Good God, we'll talk to Scott about that. We'll do that coming up at 8. Also at 8:45, I'm going to get you into Incarceration. That has Breaking Benjamin, Godsmack, Shinedown on it, Shadows Fall, a bunch of other people too. July 19th to the 21st. And that at Ohio State Reformatory, I'll get you in. All right, I don't understand every crime that happens. Right? Of course not. You know, certain things I can see, I'm like, all right, I can see how that goes. But apparently earlier this month, just a few days ago, as a matter of fact, Stephen Masalta, 32 years old, had been arrested over something he was doing at work. Stephen works at a grocery chain, mostly seen on the West Coast, known as Safeway. Safeway was like one of the big grocery chains in Oregon, right? They love their Safeway. Safeway and Albertsons. Those were the two stores they had out there that they loved. But he was busted last month on charges that he had been publicly masturbating outside of numerous coffee shops and businesses. This in Fort Collins, Colorado. So they then executed a search warrant in his home. And they grabbed all the computers and stuff, of course, right? Let's check the browser history. So anytime anybody does anything crazy, it's like, check the browser history. You know you're going to find more, right? So sure enough, they did. They were looking through the guy's computer and everything, and they found incriminating video evidence. They say they're still reviewing.
This is the side of, this is the
But apparently what he had been doing is there were videos on his computer showing him that were recorded by him. And he was in the Safeway he had worked at, and he was masturbating onto fruits, vegetables, and the baked goods there. Now, the fruit and veg I can kind of get. The baked good, it's like, buddy, it's already glazed. Like, are you going to be able to tell you did it? Like, you know what I mean? I want to see my work. I want to check, you know what I mean? I want to check and make sure I got it done right. I'm able to tell
right next stop to
on a
one-stop flooring.
You know what I mean? But on the honey bun, it's like, well, you lost, buddy. Somebody beat you to the punch here, right? And so, like, I don't understand the baked goods personally.
What?
It's coming up.
The clips have allowed detectives apparently to identify alleged victims. This is people who then bought this food.
Or at least
Some
later.
of whom are believed to be minors. So here's what we just learned a little bit. That security footage in a store
We might have passed.
apparently is not reviewed at all,
Hello,
at
Kat.
least in this Safeway in Fort Collins, Colorado. This is what we have learned.
Kasi papunta kami ng ng Berlin. Nagmamadali kasi kami kasi may work pa kami. Pwedeng daanan na lang namin pabalik pag uwi na namin. Alas,
I'm a little surprised.
kaso gabi no, okay lang
Now,
ba?
yes, employees are expensive. Although it's a program now, but like things can be expensive. But in a very lost
Mamayang gabi?
culture, then let's not pretend we're not in one.
Mga alas, what time do you pass by your sweetheart again? 8 o'clock? 7:30?
It'll be about 7:30.
7:30? Nandiyan ka na? Sige.
Alis na rin kami.
Oo.
Dapat nga ilalagay ko sa labas.
Nadaanan na namin eh.
Okay. Alam mo ba yung mismong bahay ko?
Tinanong ko yung asawa ko kasi sabi ko ito, sabi niya, nadaanan na natin. Sabi ko, sige tawagan. Yung kakadaan lang namin talaga, tumawag na ako sa'yo kasi sabi ko, baka naghihintay ka po, nakakahiya naman.
Kasi yung namin after, kung galing ka sa 77, after kami ng one-step flooring, kung balikan kayo,
Papunta pa lang po kami ng Berlin. Mga 7:30 po kami ng gabi makakadaan po dito. Makakadaan po ulit.
sige, masaya kami na lang.
Opo, pasensya na po ha. Maraming salamat po pala. Sige po, salamat po. Bye.
They're not looking at these tapes until something happens? I get it, expensive. Time consuming. Yeah, running a sound business is expensive and it is time consuming. It's difficult. I'm shocked by it. Videos recorded by him, police allege now, show him masturbating on fruits, vegetables, baked goods, all of which were not commercially sealed inside the supermarket. Again, the clips now have allowed them to kind of reach out to some customers who may have bought these things. Which I gotta be honest with you. If I bought something you masturbated into, and I've eaten at enough restaurants where I'm sure I have, right? I'm sure I have. You probably have too. I gotta be honest with you. That's one of those things that unless I get sick, which I can't imagine, right? Because there are people who consume this pretty regularly, right? Otherwise known as your wife, right? And so like that happens. So unless I got sick and we needed to like trace back like where I am, this and that, I don't want to know. I'd rather be in the dark. If you're standing behind me like, ha ha, look what we just did. We just turned Stansbury into Farba, man. We just turned him into Farba. We just messed with his food. Like, if you're standing behind me laughing about the fact that you did it and got over on me, I don't even care about that. But if I can't tell anything happened to me and I've consumed this food, I'm just living in honky-dory land like everything's fine. I ate the kumquat and it's fine. You know what? Probably should have picked a different one, right? Probably should have picked a different one. Fair enough. Sorry, that was unfortunate there. But like if I just ate the, let's not make it a banana either. Jeez, what's going on with the fruit, right? But like if I just eat the thing and I don't know, I have deniability. I'm just in the dark. I don't know anything one way or the other. I'm never thinking like this apple was delicious. I bet he masturbated onto it, right? Like that's not the first thing that's going to go through my mind. But if you tell me, hey man, sorry, we just reviewed the tapes at Safeway and it turns out you ate a cantaloupe that some dude ejaculated all over, it's going to be the only thing I think about for the rest of my life.
He was the most hated man in America. And then Kanye came along. Thanks a lot, Kanye. The Stansbury Show on Rock 106.9.
At a red light at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, traffic, this? Oh my God. I'd rather walk than be stuck in a car where I have to hear that, right? It's not my thing, but it is perfect for that day. Much like I said, if I'm on the beach, give me Bob Marley. I hate it, but if I'm at the beach, no woman, no cry, that'll work, right? Oh, it's okay. Give me the steel drums if I'm at the beach. I don't want it in the car. And that's how I feel about a lot of this. St. Patrick's Day? Yeah, give it to me. When I got the Irish car bombs in me, yeah, and everybody's pretending to be Irish, pretending that Irish whiskey tastes good for the one day a year, it's like, yeah, all right, fair enough, let's do it. But other than that, yeah, I think this is probably I think my favorite sounding one. Like if I hear this in the bar, it's like, all right, yeah, let's drink. Let's do it. A little too much. Yeah, tip the pints back, man. Let's do that. I'm into it when I'm there. Outside of that, not so much with the flogging Molly and the drop kick. You're a Kiss fan, what do you know? That Kiss is better than both those bands combined. I'll tell you what, have Sublime drive the bus for flogging Molly and Dropkick Murphys, and I hope it drives off the edge of the earth. Right? The earth's flat now, right? We had to let all those idiots have their truth, so the earth is flat, right? Yeah, just have the bus just drive right off the end of it. I'd be perfectly happy with that. It's not necessarily my thing. So now obviously the questions I got, like, well, why didn't you guys do it? Well, the tough thing about it this year is that it was on Sunday. And so what we do is team up with bars or, an alcohol distributor or, whoever that should be. And we kind of work ourselves around their events, right? And nobody could really decide what they want. Some bars wanted to do it Friday. Some bars wanted to do it Saturday. Some people were like, no, dude, it's Sunday. That's St. Patrick's Day. We're doing it Sunday. And so a lot of the distributors were like, we don't really know what we want to really get into here. And then it just kind of became one of those things where it was like, all right, this is becoming a little bit more, I guess, more to deal with than we had envisioned, right? Kind of one of those things. I wasn't in every meeting about it. I remember telling them, I was like, it's on a Sunday. I was like, and I wake up very early Monday. I was like, so if you want me out there Sunday, I was like, I'm going to need to maybe see one extra zero, maybe like one extra, like make it worth my while, right? Like there's going to be some of that was baked into that for sure. I, now having been a bartender and an alcoholic, the rookie days are not necessarily my favorite, right? And especially the older I get, right? I already brought up New Year's Eve and all of that. And it's just, you hit a point where it's like the expectation on some of these drinking holidays is so big that they never really live up to it, right? Like there's so much pressure on New Year's Eve to have a good time. Let's go to the best place. Let's get dressed up. Make sure we're at the right hotel that has, the all-inclusive thing. Let's make sure we're here. Make sure we're doing that. And St. Patrick's Day can be a very similar thing, right? Let's make sure we're at the best Irish bar and we're having the most fun and everybody's wearing the most green. There's so much pressure on those days for everybody to max out and like have it's not just a day, it's St. Patrick's Day, right? So you're out to have like a time and a half for this holiday. I always feel like, at least for me, a lot of those, at the end of the day, I'm like, it didn't really live up to what I thought it was going to be. Kind of one of those things. I think that's my age showing. You know what I mean? You erase 20 years off of me, I'm hungover right now and telling you about what a great time I had last night, for sure. Absolutely. So most of it is age, where it's like, Sunday fun day is just not a thing for me. Like, I'll play golf on Sundays a lot when the weather's good. And half the day, my friends are in the bag with the whiskey and all of that, and like they can barely stand up on holes 12, 13, 14, and all that. And it's like, dude, I can't do it. I just don't want to feel that way Monday morning waking up for work. To me, it's like, nah, dude, let me put my best foot forward. And then towards the end of the week, then I'll start, reaching into the party bag and all of that. But I had just kind of honestly completely forgot. That's just kind of how it is for me. Is that if the station, unless I'm doing something work related, I don't think about anything like that. Ever. It's just, I'm kind of oblivious to stuff like that because it's not necessarily my favorite thing to do for recreation. And I remember that's why I told him, I was like, look, if something doesn't get put together, you're not going to break my heart. Like, it's not like, it's not going to be one of those things where I'm sitting around going, I can't believe it. It's going to be like, well, all right, I got to tell you, dude, I kind of got my Sunday for me. And I don't necessarily hate that. But I know a lot of you are probably out there after having a ton of good times last night, hungover, have no idea where you are this morning. So I'll remind you right now, you're at Rock 106.9, and that's where you're scoring your Incarceration Fest tickets, and we'll get those passed out at 8:45 this morning on The Stansberry Show.
Back to The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
8:45 this morning, I'm going to get you into Incarceration. That in July. Breaking Benjamin, Godsmack, Shinedown, Shadows Fall, pretty much everybody else too. The whole damn world playing that thing. So we'll get you in 8:45 this morning. I'll have those tickets for you all week. I have some data here from, let me see, I think it's the National Association of Home Builders. And it tells us that more and more young people are living at home, maybe than ever before. About a fifth, they say. Just under 19.5% of young adults aged, what they're calling those is aged 25 to 34, live at home with their parents, maybe in-laws. Again, that according to the National Association of Home Builders. Now, some states have more younger people living at home than others. And so some people wanted to figure out what is the trend, what's happening here. Well, they admit, yes, that economics play a part of it. Quote, the younger generation is also more ethnically diverse, she points out, and in some ethnic groups, living with parents is much more common. Well, that's true. I just don't know how they're more ethnically diverse if they were born into that ethnicity from their parents, like they obviously existed too. But all right, fair enough. But yes, that is true. There are cultures where it is not seen as crazy for you to live with your family recently to kind of figure this out. Now, the more expensive states are where more young people are living with their parents and or family members. Of course, right? The more expensive a place is, the more likely you are to see that. The most expensive state for housing, Hawaii, also has the highest percentage of young adults living with their families at more than a quarter of them. My guess is home prices in Hawaii and living there is only going to get more expensive after the tragedy we saw happen there that absolutely nobody talks about anymore after elites went out and bought all the land. Absolutely nobody talks about that story anymore. Weird how that happened. Shocking how that one got just memory hole. It's in there. They don't need to know about it. It didn't happen. We're fine, right? Never mind the fact that Zuckerberg built an underground bunker there. Never mind the fact that that's happening. Just, whatever, you're fine. You're fine. You're going to be fine. Robots going to take your job. You're not going to have a place to live. You're fine. Shut up. Quit complaining. So Hawaii there, the number one state. New Hampshire's number 5. About 22.9% of young adults living at home. Now, your median home price there is about $562,000. Jeez. That sounds a little high. I know home prices have kind of skyrocketed living in Ohio, kind of awesome, because even at a skyrocket price, it's still much more reasonable, especially here in Canton, Ohio, than some other places. New York, about 23.5% of young people living at home there. And again, your median home price is about $650,000. New Jersey, which I don't understand people living there. I understand, all right, if you're going to live in Jersey trying to stay, a little cheaper than living in New York and you want to get, I wouldn't want to do it at my age. At their age, do I understand how important it is to be in the cool place, say you live in the cool place? Yes, because life is, wait for it now, all about what other people think about you. This is literally why every decision gets made everywhere, is because we do care what people think. You think everybody's crammed into Manhattan because they like it so damn much? No. It's about saying you're there and the perception, oh, you must be one of the people that can make New York work for you. And it's about perception. California cities, they're cities, they're big. But when people think California, you think Manhattan Beach, where you think San Diego, you think San Francisco, you think Los Angeles, you think the rest of California gets screwed in what they pay to live there because they live in the state with San Diego, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Manhattan Beach, and like all of these things where all the money is. And so they just end up paying more because you live close to those things. I think $850,000, and yes, it has always been more expensive about that a while. Then we figured out having that issue, but he wasn't able to save money in Ohio, and he was like, the pay was somewhat similar, but my cost of living was slashed in half, if not more. And so therefore I was able to save, and we were able to put our kids through college because of that and all of that. And I could see that. I've never been to Hawaii. It seems like that's one of those places people, you either move there or you honeymoon there. It doesn't feel like a place you take your buddies and go on a golf trip. It just doesn't, it feels a little more romantic than that. And it just doesn't, so I don't know if I'm ever going to go. To Hawaii. I've said I've been in most of the states. Alaska and Hawaii are the two that are still out there on the bucket list. I've never been in them. But I don't think I would want to, I think I would end up dealing with like island disease very soon. Very soon. I think I would love it for about a year, and then after that I'd be like, you got to get me off of this freaking island. Especially if it was costing me that much money to be dealing with that. Now, there is always the flip side of the coin to any conversation. So we ran you through the 5 most expensive states to live in. Is Ohio one of the least expensive states to live in? Well, we'll find out next on The Stansberry Show.
We would have them drug tested, but why waste the money? The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to The Stansberry Show. I'll get you in the Incarceration Fest at about an hour from right now. Breaking Benjamin Godsmack, Shinedown. A lot of others too. 3 damn days, what the hell it is. and we'll get you. What we had been talking about is more and more younger people are living at home. Now, they described young person as 25 to 34. Now, I'm guessing like 19 to 23-ish. Somewhere you're probably at college, right, going to school, and so maybe they weren't counting that. I think maybe they were looking for people who had been, you know, either out of college or maybe the age you would be when most people get out, right? Somewhere right around. I'm guessing that. They didn't even get into it. Now, we've said before that plenty of data has been run and tells us adolescence lasts till about 24. And I've said this to 24-year-olds for 10 years in here, that you got to remember, people have kids your age. So they're going to view you as a kid. They've seen their children at that age still make childish decisions. Plenty of people do it much later than that even. I mean, we have a nation full of people who don't want to grow up who have action figures on their desk, right? Like, we have that. We are in perpetual childhood. I had been one of these people. And where you don't want to let it go. I kept saying this. I was like, my dad was a Lone Ranger fan when he was a kid. There was no Lone Ranger room in his house. There was no, this is what I loved as a kid, so here it is, $500 sitting on, you know, as a bobblehead on my desk. Like, that just, it didn't happen. That generation really didn't do it. My generation kind of started that. eBay kind of helped everybody be able to buy their childhood all over again, and so we were just like, you know, maybe that's what I should be doing, right? And like, that's $850,000. So of course, the more it costs to move out on your own, the more likely younger people are to be at home. Now, this article did bring up that there are cultural differences. So I'm curious about Hawaiian culture, as I've never been there. I don't know a whole lot about it. Is that also more likely to be the thing there, living multi-generationally in homes? I think you're going to see more and more of this as the years go on, as more and more jobs get erased by the companies who are telling you have nothing to be worried about. And I think only more of this is going to happen. You would contribute to the finances of that house a little longer, while, yes, also still able to save some of your money. Then what the family would kind of do is go and buy the next piece of property, put the son and daughter in that one, and on down the line you went, and you kept things in the bloodline. Now, the problem is that families aren't as tight as they used to be, and I kept arguing for it to be run this way in this country, and people reminded me every time we've talked about that. Not everybody grew up in the house you did. And they're right. I grew up with great parents, a solid family structure, who loved and supported David and I, and they could be trusted in this manner. But a lot of people were that you're alive. And so they mistreated you your entire life. And so a lot of you don't want it. And so you don't think that this would be possible to run it that way. And I understand how we come to those conclusions. Now, what I have here, though, is